Hey guys, what's up? It's Lainey, and today I am talking about my Smutathon TBR. Cliff Notes version. I host a adult romance readathon with one of my best friends, Riley Marie, and we just read smutty adult romance reads for an entire week. This one goes from January 4th to the 11th. We do have a bingo card and some challenges that you don't have to follow, but it's just a guide if you would like to base your TBR around that. So I wrote down books that I wanted to read for this round, but when you're wrapped up in the readathon hype, things tend to go awry. For the fake relationship challenge, I'll be reading Boyfriend Bargain by Ilsa Madden Mills. I've never read her before, so I'm really excited. This combines two of my favorite things, which is hockey, romance books, and fake relationship. This story follows a hockey star and this girl who thinks that he can help her get into law school, so she kind of strikes up a bargain with him that he will pretend to be her fake boyfriend to impress, I think the dean of students is a hockey fan, so she's going to try to impress him. Of course, their one rule of this bargain is that they cannot fall in love with each other, but things start happening when they start to hook up. So I'm excited to read this book. For a workplace romance, I'm going a little unconventional. This might be stretching a little bit, but I'm going to be reading Dance With Me by Alexis Daria. This is the second book in her Dancing with the Stars type of duology, and this one follows Natasha, who was the best friend in the first book, and she's also one of the dancing pros, and she has this former hookup with one of the judges on the TV show. When her apartment becomes unlivable, he offers his place that they can live together while her apartment gets sorted out, but they also decide that they're not going to hook up at all because of the show and because of everything else. So I'm counting that as a workplace romance because he's the judge on the TV show and she's one of the pros on the TV show. They have to work together. And also it seems like it might be like a roomies trope, which roomies is also one of my favorite tropes. I love kind of that dynamic. For the 2019 release challenge, I'm going to be reading Broken Night by LJ Shen. This is the second book in her All Saints High series. I couldn't remember the name for the longest time, but it's All Saints High. I read Pretty Reckless. It was one of my top 3 romance books that I read last year, if not my top one. I just can't decide. The second book is a companion series, so it follows 2 different characters, even though they all come from like the same friend group, so to speak. I don't know too much about what this one's about, besides the fact that the main male character is like a jock, and the girl is kind of like a mute wallflower. So that's all I really know about it. I don't know like specific details about the plot at all, but I know it's a friends to lovers. For a new to you author, I'm going to be reading Step Beast by Selena Kitt. I've never read any of Selena Kitt's work, so I'm really excited. This one, I mean, you can tell by the title that it's going to be like a stepsister, stepbrother romance. I like that dynamic and trope, so I added this one right away. What was funny about this one was that the opening line of the synopsis was, "They call him Beast because he fights and fucks like one." And there was just like a lot to unpack with that sentence, so I'm like, I have time, so I'm gonna be reading this one. So his name is Beast. I mean, I've read a motorcycle romance where the main male character's name's Horse, so I think if I can read a book where the main character's guy is named Horse, I can get behind a main character named Beast. But they are step siblings, but they haven't been around each other for a while. But when he left her with like this secret. So she's been kind of harboring this thing inside of her for a very long time. Now she's graduated and he comes back into her life, and I'm sure things are gonna happen. For forbidden romance, of course, I gotta get some of my priest smut in here. I think this round is finally the round where I will be reading Priest by Sierra Simone. I've been wanting to read this book for years now, but I also have a nun romance on my list for this one too. It's called His Forbidden Obsession by Jessa Kane. It's a really, really short novella. It's like 60 pages versus Priest, I know, is a kind of a thicker book. So it kind of just depends what I'm in the mood for. Am I in the mood for a priest romance? Am I in the mood for a nun romance? I got options here. For the LGBTQ category, I'll be reading A Lesson in Thorns by Sierra Simone. This is one of Riley's like favorite books, and she always talks about it, so now I just have to read it. It's kind of a poly romance too, and all of the characters who have grown up with each other kind of all are involved with each other basically, and she says the sex scenes are like so good, and I'm really excited to read this book. It also deals with secret societies, which is also a huge interest of mine too. For enemies to lovers, I'm going to be reading A Nordic King by Karina Holly. This has been my favorite Royals romance series that I've read. I really liked the first 2 books, The Swedish Prince and The Wild Heir. This one is a nanny trope. So the King of Norway, his wife dies, he has these small children, and they hire a nanny. I think she's Australian, and they don't really like each other. I've read this series all for Smutathon. So every Smutathon I've read basically one of these books. For a book that was recommended to me, I'll be reading The Bride Test by Helen Huang. I read The Kiss Quotient last year and I fucking loved that book. This was one of Riley's favorite romances of 2019, so I'm considering that as a rec. This one's a companion to The Kiss Quotient, and it follows a cousin of the main male character Michael in the first book. His cousin is autistic and his mom pretty much orders like a mail order bride from Vietnam. For the last official challenge, it is out of our comfort zone, and this one took me a really long time to figure out because I'm like, I did accidental pregnancy for the last Smutathon because that's one of my most hated tropes, and I was like really trying to think like what is out of my comfort zone because I can read anything. I love dark romance, and if you can love dark romance, out of your comfort zone is pretty difficult. So I was trying to figure out what other tropes I'm like just not into, and I don't have a daddy kink. During sex, it kind of skeeves me out a little bit. Riley recommended that I read this book that she read, and it was Preacher Man by Jessica Kane. This is a shorter 50-page novella, and is, I mean, one, it's a priest romance, which I'm gonna be into, but she said like the daddy kink is like pretty pushed a lot in 50 pages. So that's what I'm gonna be reading for out of my comfort zone. And then I also have 3 books on here that don't really fit into the official categories, but these are just like my extras that when I filled in my little sheet, these 3 didn't make the cut, so to speak. The first one is The Play by Al Kennedy. This is the 3rd book in the Off-Campus series. I read The Chase and The Risk earlier this year. I love them, I love them. They're like my favorite hockey romances. That has been on like my backlist anyway because I've been wanting to read it, I just haven't. The next one is Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. Penelope Douglas is also one of my favorite romance authors. I love her books, and this 3rd book is following the villain, basically. It's the 3rd book in her Devil's Night series. I read Corrupt, which is one of my favorite new adult darker romances, but very, very light dark romance. And then Hideaway I read earlier this year too, and I really love that. 3rd book, it's trying to redeem the villain character, and I'm really, really curious how she's gonna redeem this character because he's awful. I mean, I'm into it, but like, I'm just very curious about like how he's gonna come back from the shit that he did in the first 2 books. And then the 3rd book I have on here is The Body Painter, which is by Pepper Winters. Pepper Winters is the first dark romance author that I ever read. When I was in college, I read Tears of Tess. Very, very heavy. Don't read it if you don't think you can handle anything involving sex trafficking, all that kind of stuff. She released a book earlier this year called The Body Painter, which is basically, the synopsises are always very vague when it comes to dark romances, but at least I can like summarize this one in the fact that this girl's answering an ad for like being a nude model for an artist, but like the ad itself is like really commanding, very dominating. It seems very like dom sub oriented, but who knows? I don't know because the back didn't give me much info. Haven't read her in a while, so I'm curious to see what her newer stuff is like. Those are the books on my TBR. I'd love to know what's on your TBR, so please let me know. Smutathon is on January 4th through the 11th. Please follow us on Twitter at Smutathon. Always hashtag anything Smutathon related with hashtag Smutathon. Tag Riley and I. We love seeing that too. Thank you guys for all of like your support with Smutathon. Honestly, Riley and I had no idea it would be as big as it is when we first started it, we were first planning it, and I love being a part of it. So thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. My name is Lainey, if you don't know. I make videos on books and writing, so if that interests you, you should definitely subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys all very soon. Bye!